And welcome everybody to another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I am your host, Louis Sung, and I am joined once again by my co-host, Ron Caniff. Chris Early, otherwise known as Duke, will be here a little bit later on. I'm sure he's just catching up to everything. But I want to go ahead and we're going to talk about this because I really feel like this is an interesting question. How much better can the Miami Dolphins get at this point? Because we have reached a point where we've already talked about statistically how the Miami Dolphins are the best offense in the NFL ever be seen through 6 weeks. We'll see if that continues as they start facing tougher competition. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. I can see Ron rocking the shirt here. It's pretty obvious what angle we're going through here. So
Tua, baby.
It's not just Tua though, because we just faced an Alabama quarterback. in the waddle too. I'm very surprised. He could have thrown it to Tyreek for that touchdown. He really could have. He didn't have to throw it all the way across to Waddle. He really didn't. So. And my father is there. He actually reminded me. Apparently, I'd forgotten to change the description because I copy and paste, so that way I don't have to work quite as hard. So I forgot to change it. So I fixed it right before showtime so that the description is correct. So thank you, father of mine. I appreciate that. So I want to talk about this. I want to get all the thoughts out. I want to talk about what happened during the game. I'll talk about where we can go from here, what's going to happen with the Eagles. We're going to get into all that. But before that, really quick, as always, need to mention this show is brought to you by our good friends over at PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. Whether that's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, one of each, it's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos like the one that is currently running today. Make sure you're keeping an eye on that Alvin Kamara one. It's a very interesting one. And of course, you have the Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. So with offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you're any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, this promo code 5, FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with and get started winning today. All right, Ron. So now you weren't available for the post game on Sunday. So I wanted to just really quickly here get your thoughts on everything that you saw. Yes, Aaron Anders, I saw the dumb take that Stephen A had about Tua. In fact, all of Fins Nation's episode for tomorrow morning is basically dedicated to roasting that entire take.
Shameless plug. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, man, you got to plug. That's how you make a
living. It was almost like you asked Aaron Anders offline, will you come in and say something about the Stephen A crap?
Thank you. I don't know. I don't even know if he has what is his Twitter handle? I don't even know if he has one.
Who? So, Aaron Anders?
Aaron Anders.
I don't know. He could tell us if he wanted.
Maybe he can tell us hey,
we can put it on for all 8 people to see. I'm just kidding.
You know, I was actually I was seeing that some shows, there were some podcasts out there that I saw. I was actually listening to a Carolina Panthers post-game show because I wanted to see how frustrated they were with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because they started out strong. The Dolphins, okay, Aaron says he doesn't have a Twitter. Okay, that's fine. Hey, no worries.
Aaron's smarter than
Aaron's smarter than the rest of us because we all have we all have it. So, yeah. But no shame. I was actually listening to a Panthers post game and I was seeing that they actually have a number to call in for the show. So maybe sometime many years from now, we evolve into something along those lines. That'd be interesting. I think it would be interesting to see if we can do something like that.
You have fun with that.
I didn't say anytime soon. I just said in the future. I don't know how long the future is.
That's true.
But that would help let us get the pulse of Fins Nation. I'll say that much. That's for sure, because they can actually call in and we can actually take their pulse in real time. But I wanted to get your thoughts on everything, Ron. So this was the first of the Alabama showdowns, if we want to be real about this. So we had I don't count the first.
Yeah, you don't count Mac Jones.
I don't count the first one because we're about to have an Alabama marathon.
What we're about to see.
So we just saw Bryce Young. We saw Bryce Young.
Yeah, we saw Bryce Young.
And now we're going to get to Jalen Hurts in Philly. And then we get Mac Jones again.
And then that's it. That's the 4 Bama quarterbacks in the NFL currently.
So whose cuisine reigns supreme? Ron,
Milroe doesn't look like he's going to be an NFL player at this point, but it's still early. Okay, we don't need to talk about Bama, though. Go ahead.
We are, though. You're wearing a shirt. It literally is part of the whole concept.
I mean, we don't need to talk about the current state of the Bama team itself. We'll talk about prior Bama players in the current NFL. So
and
you want my opinion on what exactly?
I will get you guys both your opinion. I'm welcoming Duke to the show. Hello, Duke. How are you?
Hey guys, what's up?
We are doing. I mean, we're 5-1. We're 5-1.
Hey, yeah.
So you guys didn't get to give your thoughts on during post game, so I wanted to be able to let you guys have an open forum real quick. I'll go start with you, Ron. So what were your thoughts? The Miami Dolphins beat the Carolina Panthers. Your immediate reactions as the game was happening, as the game ended, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I thought about it like this. People got a little frustrated, I'm sure, that we even got down 14-0 to the Panthers. But
I was looking at the defense and thinking
there almost isn't a team in the NFL besides Miami that hasn't had a loss they shouldn't have. The Chiefs, right? Their one loss was Detroit, and Detroit is also a one-loss team. But you could point to so many teams that have either, one, had losses they shouldn't have taken. San Fran should not have lost to Cleveland with PJ Walker at QB. Hurts and those boys in Philly are way more talented than to lose to the Jets and Zach Wilson, right? We saw the Jets actually almost kind of sneak up on the Chiefs a bit. We've seen the Bills lose to the Jags, who are decent this year, but not amazing. And then we saw them they almost laid a damn egg against a team that we know to be terrible in the Giants, because we made quick work of them. The fact that we went down 14-0 and then ended up being a 42-21 game, really, and one of them was when Mike White threw the pick six. Man, I mean, what can you say? The Dolphins really are. I mean, they're hot right now. Like, they really are hot. I know that Bills game was bad, but they really are hot. The defense is getting better. We'll see more what the defense is made of in this game. Although I will say this, I've been plugged into Philly pretty decent with what's going on in there, and I've been plugged in like all year, not just for this week. They want the offensive coordinator's head on a stick right now in Philly. They are not happy with that offense. They are not happy with the play calling. They don't understand why all of a sudden Hurts has 7 picks when he had 6 all year last year. Like, they're just not getting what's happening with that offense with all the talent they have, because, and you know, they're going to miss Lane Johnson now, and the backup. Oh God, what was his name? Man, it was a name that would be known to us because as Dolphins fans, thank you. We know the name of every single lineman that's worth half a shit in the NFL, because we all wish that for many years that they come be a Miami Dolphin, right? So Driscoll played terrible, apparently. So it's interesting going into this game. But I guess my bigger point would be every team there's no undefeated teams in the NFL, right? This isn't college. You don't go 16-1 and go win a national championship. The Super Bowl winning team will probably have at least 4 losses, maybe 3 if they're really, really good. They'll have close calls. They will have probably at least lost to one team they shouldn't have, etc. The Dolphins lost to a really, really, really good Bills team. And the only games that were close were the Chargers, who are a good team. We know that. They're not amazing, but they're very talented.
And they lost to the Cowboys.
And it was closer to in the Patriots game than it should have been, but there was a play or two that could have opened that wide open, and it just didn't happen. Besides that, we have handled our business ×2, in my opinion. So I'm very interested to see what happens in this Philly game. I was kind of leaning towards the Dolphins maybe weren't going to beat Philly, but I know we're not doing predictions quite yet, but I'm just saying my prediction is going to be, I'm not going to give a score yet. We are going to handle Philly. I think Philly's, I won't say reeling, but they're having some issues, and I think Miami's on fire, and I think that McDaniel is going to have a really great game plan for this team. I really do. And that our offensive line is playing better than we've seen a Miami Dolphins offensive line play in years and years and years.
Ever.
Since 2008 in the Wildcat year. That the offensive line played amazing that year. It was a really stacked offensive line. So that's just my opinion of it, of what I saw with Carolina and being down 14-0. Man, you want to have those little challenges and not lose a game. You want to see our team go down 14-0 and be like, Oh, now they're going to remember, we've been down 14-0 before. We got this. Hey, they remember being down how much to Baltimore last year and coming back in the fourth quarter? I don't remember what the
3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think the game went well. I like that we kind of faced that little diversity a bit, and the defense and offense both rallied, got their crap together, and got it done.
All right, Duke.
Well, I had gone to I had a pre-planned trip to a pumpkin patch corn maze thing for the kids.
We don't need your excuses, Chris.
Well, so generally what happens is generally what happens when I'm away and I can't watch the game, I cut my phone off. I don't want any type of tweet or anything to pop up. So as I'm cutting my phone off, I have tweets. I'm clearing stuff out so I don't see it, and I accidentally saw it and I said a terrible start. Then my phone goes off and I'm like, well, great. Now I've got to wait for hours. And I went to the same place last year, and it was the Vikings game. So I was like, please don't tell me this is history repeating itself. Please don't tell me this place has bad mojo or something. But I got home, I watched the game, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're down. I get it. And then, the offense just said, yeah, whatever. We've got this. And next thing you know, it's over. And it was kind of like, same as in the Giants game, you never really thought Carolina had much of a chance. It was kind of one of those, maybe this is one of those days in the NFL where, it's bizarro world and the bad teams win and the good teams lose kind of thing.
Any given Sunday, the Giants almost beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
really.
So Cleveland's probably a playoff caliber team, at least a playoff caliber defense, but they had a backup.
Their defense is maybe the best defense in the NFL.
They had a backup quarterback, and they go in to San Francisco, win that game, or they played at home, I believe. They
it was in Cleveland. Yeah.
So they beat San Francisco. The Jets beat the Eagles. Or I'm going to say
for sure, though.
I'm going to say I think the Eagles beat themselves.
Yeah,
they could have put that game away late.
I don't know why they don't just run the ball. If they don't get, third and one, if they get third and one, they do. What do they call that play now? The Philly push.
That's the
brotherly shove.
The Philly tush, but the brotherly shove, right? If not, you punt the ball and you make Zach Wilson go pretty much the field to beat you. Like, it was never going to happen. So I agree. I see why the offensive coordinator and the play caller is had his head on the stick. That was their fault. Yes, Miami shouldn't have thrown that pick, but if
Miami did that, we would be, the pitchforks would be out too.
Yeah, so, for sure. It was dumb. It was a dumb move by them.
But like I said, Miami took care of their business, and that's what you expect. What the combined record that Miami of the teams they face have 5 wins of the wins they have. So it's not like they're beating a murderer's row of teams, but the first game you beat the Chargers. All right. And like you said, they're a talented team. They're kind of struggling,
team. But they're struggling because Staley sucks, but they're a talented team.
So the Patriots, that is a division game on the road and a tough place to play. I don't care how bad the Patriots are. And the Dolphins.
I don't think they were as bad as they are now. I don't think the Patriots had figured out how bad they were yet, and still kind of thought that maybe they were competitive.
That's when you thought you hit rock bottom.
If there was, when you watch the draft, you kind of think, oh, that's a good fit for that team. And when the Patriots landed Christian Gonzalez, I was like, why did the league let that happen? So he's going to be a very good corner. And he's out for the year now. Matthew Judon's out for the year, or possibly the year. I don't remember his situation. I know the corner had shoulder surgery, so I think it's what it was, and he's done. So they've lost some talent on the one side of the ball they couldn't afford to lose talent on. They can't.
They don't have any talent on the offensive side to lose.
So on the offense, yeah. So if they lose anybody, so
you see that block by Mike Gesicki? Just saying.
Yeah, I watched that, and my first thought when I saw that was, how long did he hold the ball? Like, if that's Tua, like, who cares? That ball's already out.
That ball be gone.
Out. Like, Tua's standing there watching the play go down the field by the time the defensive end gets there. I mean, he had to go around Gesicki, who kind of threw himself at him, and it wasn't much of a block. But then he had to go around the tackle too, and then he got to the quarterback. I'm like, that's like 3.5 seconds. That's not Tua. So
yeah.
But anyway, we saw the Dolphins come back in this game. They took care of business, and they're handling their business. They spotted the Giants 10 points on turnovers and still covered the spread. So this is going to be a fun game this week. But it was one of those situations. After I saw what the bad start was or terrible start, I was like, okay, they got this. They went up, and it was all she wrote. So Carolina's 0-6 for a reason. And
scary
really
playing 0-5 teams. Though,
yeah, and I was surprised because the strength of that team is their defensive front. And there's a play I think I saw on Twitter where Robert Hunt just takes Derek Brown and throws him out of the club, just completely has him off balance.
Austin Jackson had a play like that, and so did Julian Hill.
Yeah, Julian Hill. So, man, Mike McDaniel in his tenure here has 8 draft picks total, and yet they have hit on 3 undrafted free agents. So that's Chris Brooks with the get out of here stiff arm where he throws a Panther into another Panthers player.
The angry run.
Yeah, and then Julian Hill won the tight end 2 spot. We all saw that coming in.
He may work his way to tight end 1 before the year's over, where it's like split even between him and Smythe. You watch, start counting.
There.
Hey, I'm the Achan guy. Remember what I said about Achan? What happened? Exactly what I predicted. Julian Hill will have as many snaps as Smythe by the end of the year. 2 or 3 games into the end of the year, you're going to see those guys' snaps even out. But okay, but go ahead, Chris.
I don't think he heard you.
Well, but yeah, and he offers more receiving upside than Smythe. So, but they're asking, and he's going to get rewarded. That's what we're waiting on. It probably won't be this week, but he's doing the dirty work. They're asking him to do the motion stuff and then come down and block. And he's getting out to targets, but he's kind of like the 4th read in the progression. So it's like Tua might throw it to him eventually. I think he had 1 target in the Denver game, maybe that was kind of overthrown. But otherwise, I think he'll get there in terms of that. I'm ready to see him get a touchdown. I was really wanting to see Chris Brooks get a touchdown. But thankfully his injuries week to week, it's not something that's going to be lingering. It sounded worse because you heard him scream on the broadcast, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I thought Chris Brooks was done for the year, to be honest.
The offense, just when you hear a scream like that through the broadcast, it's kind of like, yeah, that's not a good thing. But the offense is doing their thing. They're number 1 in pretty much every category. The defense needs some work. They're going to have their work cut out for them this week because the Philadelphia Eagles they're good at running the ball. And Miami's run defense, even though they're ranked like 20th in run defense in terms of yards, they are actually improved since that first game. So it's going to be a good matchup.
All right, so Alfredo Arteaga is in the chat saying that he's not on Ron's bet that Julian Hill's gonna.
Alf never thinks what I think. Me and him think exact opposite on every single thing like that. That's what makes it fun. I say towards the end of the year that Smythe and Hill are getting even snaps because Julian Hill is going to start cutting into Smythe's tight end 1 snaps towards the very end of the back end of the year.
Nope.
You know what? You know what's great about this one?
They did not give Durham Smythe all that money just to let an undrafted rookie walk in here and say, you're the guy now. They did not. There's no way.
Cater who what?
Cater
I don't think they care. I don't think they care that one player is paid this much and another. They care who plays good and who plays well within the offense. As soon as Julian Hill starts working himself into the passing end of the thing, mind you, this is a team that doesn't really use tight ends a lot to catch the ball anyway. That's when he's going to start cutting into some of Smythe's tight end 1 snaps. Plus, I think Julian Hill already is at least as good a blocker as Smythe already. So, and that's why I think that'll happen. But hey, the awesome part about that is each game as the year goes on, we get to count the snaps. There's no question about it, right? We're not like it's not an opinion thing. We'll actually get to see who is right and who is wrong. That's the fun part about that one.
So now what I wanted to ask real quick is, so now that we've established how everybody feels about the game and how it went down, I want to ask you guys, how much better can this team really get? Because we've already established that we have reinforcements coming on defense. Jalen Ramsey is going to be coming soon. Nick Needham is eventually going to be coming back as well. So we're talking just that on defense alone. We're getting actual players back. As far as the offense goes, have we... I don't even know at this point, like where can we make more improvements? It feels like everything about this offense is clicking so perfectly. We scored 40 points in 3 quarters. It was down 14-0 after the first quarter against the Panthers. And then the Dolphins proceeded to say, okay, watch this. Let's just put 40 on you in less than 45 minutes. So it's insane. Like, unless you're talking about defense, I don't know how much better this team can actually get at this point.
Go ahead, Chris.
Offensively, I think there are 2 areas that I would like to see. I would like to see them continue to lean on the running game, even when it gets taken away. And I think we look at the running numbers, and in the Buffalo game, Achane had that big run, but otherwise the running backs were kind of shut down in that game. And the second thing is we need to get Waddle more involved. I know he's been targeted more the last couple of weeks. His yards per catch is kind of low, which is kind of interesting because generally the more catches you have, the lower your yards per catch is for big time receivers. And I don't mean by low, but I mean like Tyreek Hill is our number 1 receiver. He's the number 1 target, and he's averaging 19 point something yards per catch. That's a number that's kind of set aside for like the deep threat guys that get like 10 catches all year for a bunch of yards. So what he's doing is kind of ridiculous, but we need to get Waddle more involved because teams, particularly good ones, and the Eagles in particular, they're hurting their secondary right now, and they're going to do everything they can to try to. I read something today that said that the defensive coordinator wants the defense to get physical with the receivers, and when teams do that, they can try to take away Hill. They might double him, and they're going to say, "Well, we're going to force Tua to go somewhere else." And we have guys that can do it now. We just need to get them more involved because when that happens, and you see Waddle start to take over a game like we see Hill taking over a game. So, all right, so they're bracketing Hill. He's getting 5 catches for 50 yards because they're doubling him or whatever. And then you see Waddle with 8 catches, 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the kind of game you want to see when they're taking Hill away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, I don't think the offense can do a whole lot better. I mean, they're in rarefied air, and we kind of know what the defense needs, but yeah, I'm with you on the offense. I mean, I just get players more involved. We'll probably see Jeff Wilson back this week. Get him involved. Let him run the ball more. Try to get the tight ends involved some. Let them do some things. There's little nitpicky things, but yeah, the offense is something else right now.
Yeah, I think I hope that we do see Wilson. Hopefully, he's ready. Just kind of wondering about it because now with Brooks, definitely, I would imagine he's not playing this week. That would leave you down to only 2 running backs, and that's just not enough to go. Especially as a game, especially a team that's the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. That's just not enough.
Don't forget Ahmed.
I'm telling you, Mostert and Ahmed. That's the 2. With Brooks.
But if you get okay, my bad. I thought you said with Wilson. Okay, I got you.
No. But so we kind of need Wilson.
And we're gonna go ahead and while Ron's looking up what he's looking up, I'm gonna welcome Alfredo Arteaga from the chat room now into the show. Hello, Alf. How are you?
I am doing good. I am watching the best run offense I've ever seen perform on tape.
The Miami Dolphins.
The Miami 2023 specifically.
So
yeah, what they do on, if you watch it on tape, what they do as far as in this run game is not only revolutionary. It's there's no word to describe it really. It's like perfect. Like it's everything Kyle Shanahan has always wanted, but better. And I'm not afraid to say it. I think the Dolphins are the best run blocking team in the NFL, and they're better than San Francisco. Like their running game is much better than San Francisco. If you want one of the tapes I was cutting up, go check Brian Baldigger's feed. In fact, if you could get it up and you can share the screen,
I will look for it right now. Or is Ron already on that?
He has a play. He has a play which is essentially a nothing play. It's Raheem Mostert gaining about 7 yards, okay, on outside zone. You got to see the performance of this offensive line and the blockers, namely Durham Smythe, Ron. Okay, on this one play. And look at that execution. That execution is not only uncommon, it's unheard of in the NFL. It just doesn't happen.
Is it the touchdown one, Alf?
No, it's an 8-yard run by Raheem Mostert. Baldinger just shared it.
I'm pulling it up now.
You see it?
I'm sharing, and here we go. Is it this one?
Yeah, it's that one. Okay. Now, when they show it from behind, I want you to see something. Okay, if you could stop it like right here. Okay, Austin Jackson is not only going to bypass the end, he's going to try to seal the backside backer. They're going to use a tight end to kick out the defensive end. They're going to use a fullback to cut off the defensive tackle. And Robert Hunt is going to move one gap over to seal that side of the field. It's insane. The amount of coordination that you need to pull off this block on this run play is insane. And they hit every single one of them. The backside view, which is at the end of his tweet, actually shows it. Like this view right here is the one that shows it best. And by the way, I want you to see what Austin Jackson does to Frankie Louvu. Who's a hell of a linebacker. Austin Jackson just absolutely destroys them. Now look at Austin Jackson work to the second level. Look at Durham Smythe hook his guy. There's Austin Jackson just destroying the inside linebacker. And I want you to look at what Durham Smythe does to the defensive end. He hooks him, slows him down, and then passes him off to Ingold, and then picks up the second level. So he hits the defensive end and then picks up the scrape linebacker while Robbie Chosen is kicking out the cornerback. That's unheard of. That does not exist. On that play, there are 6 blocks independent of each other, which are one-on-one, and they hit every single one of them.
That's awesome.
No team in the NFL does that. No team in the NFL does that.
And this goes back to some tweets, I think. I think Chris Kaufman put out there, and I've seen some others. So I was watching the Monday Night Football game, and I'm like, this is almost painful to watch. Like, after watching this Dolphins offense play, and then you watch other teams play, you're kind of like,
it's boring.
This is boring.
This is boring. What is this?
Hey, I'm a Dolphin.
I'm a 40s or something.
I'm a Dolphin. I'm a Dolphin. I'm a football purist. I love football. I like to watch every aspect of it. That Bills Giants game was like watching stuff from like the 1920s. Like they might as well have been wearing like leather helmets. But I did think it was cool when the Giants were like in the fourth quarter. They were like, "All right, we can't run the ball. How about we just dust off 24 trap? We dust off a play from high school and just run it over and over again." And that was successful. So that was cool watching an NFL team execute a play over and over again. But yeah, if you just put on the all 22 and forget about the pass game, we know the pass game is really good. It's the run game. Like these are hard things to do. Like there's maybe 2 or 3 teams in the NFL that can pull this off like 3 or 4 or 5 times a game. We're playing one of them, by the way, on Sunday. But that's only if Lane Johnson's around. And that's going to be a key player to watch all week. Him and Jalen Carter. And I'll go as far as to say if Jalen Carter and Lane Johnson do not play, Dolphins are winning that game on Sunday. No doubt about it. Those 2 guys are extremely key. But it's basically the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Dolphins. And the Dolphins pull it off much more than most. The Lions have a really, really good power blocking offensive line, but they don't get downfield like the Dolphins do. They just don't, And it's been a perfect storm. Like, look, you already knew that Robert Hunt was gonna be a pretty good guard, right? You knew that Connor Williams was pretty good, but now they're getting Liam Eichenberg to play competently as a center.
That's crazy.
Isaiah Wynn is really, really good. Kendall Lamb is one of the best left tackles in football all season. And then let me save the best for last. I guess Chris Greer was right, and most of us were wrong. Austin Jackson is going to get paid on this team. He is having a monster season.
Yeah.
I did a show all about that. It's like we all have to admit that I guess Chris Greer was right. We were all more worried about the
He has not given up a sack since he hasn't given up a sack since week 2. He hasn't given up a pressure since week 4.
And he's run blocking really well. Like he's
run blocking like one of the best tackles in football.
Did you guys notice in the game towards the end? Did you see how much they would show Mike McDaniel and who was there standing with him, talking with him? Anybody remember? One of our coaches?
Oh, I didn't see it. Was it Butch?
Was it Butch?
Him and Butch were talking, and that towards the end when that game was getting kind of out of hand for Carolina, you saw those two communicating because they're showing McDaniel a lot. So whoever's around him is around him at the time. I mean, I saw Barry with him more than once, multiple times. And it was they had smiles on their face. Like they were impressed by their own offensive line and how it's come together so fast. That's kind of like what the conversation is.
What's a really good catch is the Mike McDaniel. I don't know if you guys saw the Mic'd Up with Mike McDaniel.
I did. I watched it. I listened to it.
Did you watch it?
At the beginning of the Mic'd Up, he's communicating on his headset, and he goes, "That 5 is getting a little wide there, Butch. You should have told me that. LOL." You know what I mean? And what he's talking about right there is that the 5 tech was lining up a little wider so they could start running inside of him. Is basically what he's saying. He's basically telling his offensive line coach, "You should have picked that up so you could send that into me so I could start calling runs inside of the end." Because that's also death. You line up incorrectly against the wrong play call, since this is all leverage running. All the Dolphins do, none of it is power. It's all leverage. So you line up incorrectly against the Dolphins, they're just going to leverage you, and it's going to be 6 yards whenever they want it.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Exciting to watch.
I think the play that encapsulates Austin Jackson's season was in the Denver game when I think it was the Mostert run at the end of the half. He
single-handedly ran over everybody.
Well, no, it wasn't that one. Whatever the play was, I don't remember. I think it was Mostert. But anyway, Austin Jackson's running down the field and just decides to do a flip in the end zone. Just does a front flip right in the end zone.
So that makes 3 players that we know for sure can do backflips. Tyreek, Christian Wilkins.
It wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think it was a backflip.
He just fell down and rolled pretty much.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's like, oh my God, we're gonna have to do
I think it was Mark Schlereth posted that on his feed, and he says, "When you got your big fat offensive lineman down there doing flips, you're getting your tail whipped." So, I mean. Everybody was all about Vic Fangio, and I think he's a good coordinator, obviously, and he's going to get this turned around. But Butch Berry was kind of like, yeah, well, whatever. And that guy has turned this unit from a liability into a strength. And
it was worse than that. I had people in my DMs. I won't out them, but I had people in my DMs that were very, very interested in starting to spread all kinds of rumors about Butch Berry and making sure that I was going to rip him at every turn to try to sour the whole experience. Okay. First of all, I got to speak with him many times in camp. The guy was a delight. Okay. He's nothing like what they portrayed him as. I even asked a bunch of people after all of this stuff was going on, people that actually covered him when he was at the University of Miami. I started asking them, what was he like? Because I've heard all these horror stories. All of that ended up being bullshit. All of it. Okay. So these were just people that were very interested in just maligning somebody on the way out for no apparent reason whatsoever, other than the failure of their own players and their own administration over there in Denver. And, he's been really, really candid with the media. They haven't put up many of his, because he only does like 2-3 minutes, because let's face it, a lot of the beat guys don't want to go talk to the offensive line coach because some of it can be boring, and most of them don't understand how it works, and and how offensive line play is actually taught. But if you watch Butch Barry coach in training camp and you watch what he's teaching all of this stuff that you're seeing on film. You're seeing all of these leverage plays. You're seeing quickness, trying to get over one gap, trying to use certain techniques to try to cut off corners. And Baldinger is really, really clear in that tweet when you read it, or that X or whatever we're calling it these days.
It's Twitter. I refuse to call it anything else.
Yeah, Baldinger's really, really clear. He's like, they're not pushing people down the field. They're getting them out of the way. And that's because perfect technique. Like, it really is a joy to watch. Like, watching all 22 can sometimes get tedious, especially when you're watching other teams. But you watch the Dolphins and you just start marveling, like, man, this is stuff you don't see in the NFL. You see this like in college.
Yeah.
The only bone I have to pick with Butch Barry is that he's costing the Dolphins money, because they're going to have to sign some of these guys back, aren't they? So that's it.
No, look. Let me put it this way.
Let me say one thing, and then you could go, Lewis. A year ago, we were on our podcast, and maybe even on this show, we were talking about, okay, there's certain guys that just cannot play football in the NFL, and we were counting guys like Keon Smith in there. Keon Smith is not only on the 53 right now, he's going to play next year too, and I think that they're expecting him to take one of the swing spots to somehow save some money. He became a useful player under Butch Barry. Now you explain to me how that happened. Explain to me how Liam Eichenberg could start his second game as a center and have a perfect game against Carolina. Nearly perfect, by the way. And I watched every snap. I graded it. It was near perfect against Carolina. How is that possible?
Do you think some of that Tua? You're not Tua, you're Alf. Do you think some of that, Alf, is that he, as a center, is a lot of times the helper and not solo as much? It's just a thought, and I don't even know
absolutely,
if I'm really saying
and
that
that's
right,
why, because everybody's has been giving Liam Eichenberg his last rites if he has to play against the Eagles next week.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, we're gonna get murdered, and Tua's gonna get killed. First of all, the Eagles don't play fronts that really damage your center too much, because they do not mug the A gap, and I think Miami has figured out a counter to people that want to mug the A gap. Just leverage them the hell out of there. So I think Liam Eichenberg would be fine in a pinch if he had to play this Sunday against the Eagles. I think he'll be fine. I think where you're going to see a deficiency is as time goes on, because for a game or two or three, you could hide your deficiencies because you're more tuned in and you're being coached up a little bit more than usual. Connor Williams doesn't need that. So Connor Williams is probably like, you want him back for the balance of the season. But for 1 or 2, 3 games, Liam Eichenberg could do just fine, because the way that they're coaching him, he really doesn't have that many responsibilities. And they're realizing they don't have to help their tackles that much anyway. So now the guards can help if they need to help Liam Eichenberg inside.
It's the way. All I was really going to say was that if Butch Barry can take all these guys, Liam Eichenberg, Keon Smith, heck, even rookie Ryan Hayes, which we might get to see some of him at some point if he keeps this up now that he's back. If he can take these guys and turn them into competent football players, then even if you end up having to save some money and you can't re-sign some guys, then that's okay. The Dolphins will just take whoever they can find and make it work. Although Jermaine on the chat mentioning one thing, Eichenberg, he did frustrate Raheem Mostert apparently on at least one play, because I guess he fell on top of him and didn't make a block. Alpha, you said you watched all the snaps.
He missed a block on a kick out, but
things happen in football games.
Nobody's perfect.
No, he's not. Perfect. But I guess what stood out for a lot of people
Alec Ingold
mad at him.
Alec Ingold knocked down Raheem Mostert, and Raheem Mostert got into it with Alec Ingold. And you can see like Alec Ingold's body language, like, I screwed up. I know.
Hangs his head down like when you yell at your dog for getting in the garbage.
If you look at those runs, they could have been house calls.
Yeah.
So,
both those
two speeds. So I'll be upset too if I'm like, look, dude, I had it and you knocked me down. You cost me points. Cost me money.
I mean, Mostert, he's making a case to get paid too.
But to go back to the Butch Berry point, I mean, how many years did we see the New England Patriots take random guys at the offensive line and
Dante Scarnecchia made him stars?
Because of Scarnecchia. So maybe if Butch Berry can be that guy for the Dolphins, then we can say, well, we'll take that 6th round guy and we'll get him coached up and he'll be a serviceable player. It's still new to me. I'm not used to seeing good offensive line play.
I know, right? It's like, oh,
it feels like a dream, like a weird dream. I'm just gonna
waiting to wake up. It's like, oh God, we're back to reality.
Oh man, we still have Tannehill. He sucks.
We just got a fever dream of 2 hours. All right.
Yeah. All we're really learning through the season is that Twitter has a very high propensity to be wrong.
Hey, listen, we've all been wrong on a lot of stuff so far. Aaron Anders, does Chris Brooks already have more yards than Dalvin Cook? Yeah.
Right. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
That's a fact.
Awesome.
That's a fact. You go look for it, and yeah, he does have more yards. You know who had more yards than Dalvin Cook, and then Dalvin Cook finally overtook him by week 4? Eric Ezukama.
Oh,
man. That's
and that's because he hasn't been playing.
Until
so by week 4, up to week 4, Eric Ezukama had more yards than Dalvin Cook.
Until this past Sunday,
Dalvin Cook currently
had more points. Sorry, hold on. The Red Sox until this past Sunday, the Red Sox had more points than the New England Patriots for the entire month of October, and the Red Sox had played 1 game. Kind of reminds me of that stat. Go ahead, Chris.
As of right now, Dalvin Cook has 109 yards. Chris Brooks has 94.
Oh, so short.
So
how many rushing snaps? How many attempts does he have?
15 for Chris Brooks, 39 for Dalvin Cook.
39?
2.8 yards per carry for Dalvin Cook, 6.3 yards per carry for Chris Brooks. And Chris Brooks has a highlight film run.
Well,
couple.
I'll try to play devil's advocate here. If Dalvin Cook were running in this offense, maybe he'd have more yards.
He'd have 2.9 yards per carry.
No,
I would not. He would be. I mean, he would be RB2 maybe this week because of the injuries. He's RB3 if everybody's healthy, and that's crazy to think that. But you're not playing him over Mostert or Achane.
Not at this point, no.
No way.
I'm so happy that Mostert is proving himself. Like Mostert, I have this affinity towards Mostert ever since he got to Miami.
You did last year. I remember you were high on Mostert. I
was high on the Mostert
This
train.
Is the game. That's my star this week. Mostert. You do it like every other week.
And they never ran the ball. I was so upset.
Yeah,
all right, so I want to go ahead and get into the defense real quick here because there was a lot of comments being made about the frustration with the defense. Now, Duke, I know you mentioned this. You talked about it. We've talked about this on this show too. In spurts, it's just the concept of Vic Fangio fixing the defense as it is. Like we're not satisfied with the state of the defense right now because and to be fair, we've been facing a lot of not great quarterbacks. Like we were facing off against Mac Jones. Not going to stress Mac Jones all that much. Bryce Young, a rookie. Nah, not really feeling that. Who else have we faced at this point? Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, but I'm trying to remember who everybody else was. Mac,
and
Bryce Young, and Russell Wilson, who is washed
up. Russell Wilson's not been playing bad. Maybe not like elite, but he's not been playing poorly.
He's not playing like Russell Wilson of old.
No, but he's not playing.
He's playing Russell Wilson is old.
Yeah, he's just.
Well, no, he's having a decent season. Last time I checked, I don't know. Let me check.
Yeah, I mean,
he was having a decent season until the Miami game, and then since then he's been last year's Russell Wilson.
Really? Let me check here.
I mean, his numbers are all right.
You know, one thing I was kind of thinking about while you're looking that up, Al.
Oh no, he's had a really good season. How the hell is that team that bad?
Yeah.
He has a 99 passer rating, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
How many of those are in the fourth quarter when the game's already lost?
Justin.
I don't know, but the numbers are the numbers.
Do you find it interesting how McDaniel has no issue bucking a trend or proving to everybody that they're wrong on something or a person? Or you think about it, he came to a team and took a quarterback that every single person in the NFL says that guy can't throw the ball 10 yards. And he was like, Oh yeah, watch this. I'm gonna make him the best deep passer in the NFL, and he did it in like weeks. Or he takes offensive line all of a sudden, guys that we all thought were complete trash.
Oh no,
he's like,
I
oh
remember
yeah,
Mina
I'm
Kimes.
gonna
I
make
remember
him.
Mina Kimes talking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'm gonna
She
make
was
him
like, "Oh,
the
the
best
offensive line, they
offensive
didn't do
line in
anything."
the NFL. Watch this. Oh yeah, guess what? You think I'm the run specialist? Oh yeah, watch this. I'm gonna have the best passing offense in the NFL. Oh what? You think I can't run the ball? Oh yeah, watch this. I'm gonna have the best running offense in the NFL. Oh, you think Butch Berry's a big ass and he sucks? Oh yeah, watch this.
Well, I mean,
just over
sometimes-
and over and over again, Mike
sometimes-
McDaniel just bucks the trend and
Yeah.
shows he can do something that nobody thought was possible with the Dolphins.
Sometimes things just have to break your way, and I think that the marriage of Tua and Mike McDaniel, and then adding Tyreek Hill, because you saw that interview with Mike McDaniel. He's like, that's an untouchable guy, right? Tyreek Hill's not a guy that's going to go anywhere till he's old and useless. And they were able to get him, and so now you add all these components together, and you see it on the field. 500 yards a game, 37 points, ridiculous numbers. So sometimes, like I said, things just have to go your way. What if Denver last year decided, you know what, we want Mike McDaniel instead of Nathaniel Hackett, and they hire him, and Miami gets Nathaniel Hackett, and then we're going through this crap that they're going through. So, sometimes you just need those breaks, and Miami got some, I think.
Yep.
So, but now we're going to be.
It's all about getting lucky with your hire, with your head coach, and
go ahead.
And the Dolphins got extremely lucky with their hire, with their head coach. But there's something to be said for Chris Greer recognizing his mistake, because Brian Flores was his mistake. Like he doesn't get credit for all the good things he's done, and not for the bad. You know what I mean? So he recognized his mistake with Brian Flores. He was on to Mike McDaniel last year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the year before last year, when he was thinking about bringing him on as an offensive coordinator, and then the 49ers blocked any hire of Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. Brian Flores gets fired, and if you remember that whole process, the finger was on the scale from day one. Chris Greer wanted Mike McDaniel. He wasn't going to hire anybody else. So, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you have
one Chris.
Yeah, sometimes you have a hunch and you go with it, and you're completely right. And
it's the only one.
He deserves some credit. But it's also a lot of luck. Like, you don't know how this was going to turn out, and Mike McDaniel's absolutely fabulous.
It could have been, especially given the unusual nature of Mike McDaniel as an NFL head coach, it could have been a complete and utter shit show. He definitely, I give him all the credit for taking a risk and being the only one to even offer Mike McDaniel an interview. It's not like he interviewed other places, or we got lucky and he chose us over other teams.
And I'm going to give credit
to interview him.
And I'm going to give credit to somebody that has gotten zero credit, and I've seen out there on Twitter and elsewhere, and on OnlyFans and on the podcasts and in the national media, in the local media, with the beat, everybody. Nobody has given credit to Stephen Ross.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
That's
because
great.
Stephen Ross, look, as a business owner, and for those of you that have people that work under you, sometimes you're forced to make a decision, and then you can look back on those decisions 6 months later and say, man, I really screwed that up, or I should have not fired that guy. Now we need him, and now he's elsewhere, or I should have not invested in this. Look, this was a complete waste of time, and we lost a bunch of money. He was presented with a pretty obvious choice: Chris Greer and Tua, or Brian Flores and Deshaun Watson. And he said, you know what? B-Flow, you're fired. Greer, make this work. I got faith in you. And guess what? He got lucky. He made the right decision.
Finally. And he made the right decision when he promoted
And
Chris
how
Greer,
many
too.
coaches and how many people, how many fans out there on Twitter, if you put it to a poll, pick Greer and Tua, or Brian Flores and Deshaun Watson would have taken Greer and Tua?
Yeah, back then, a few years ago, I think, at
When
least
the decision was
60%,
made.
it
When
would
the
have been.
decision was made. Yeah.
Yep.
It would have been like at least 70% in
perfectly think-
favor of Flores.
On Twitter, I honestly think it might have been more 50-50. To be honest, because there were a lot of people who were pro Deshaun Watson. It was kind of scary how many people were all like ready to dump Tua for Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah,
like even some in our own network were saying, yeah, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, a few people in OnlyFans too, but those voices I think are all but silent these days. Right, Alf?
Yeah, I would say so.
Nobody left. They either left or changed their mind. Like many people have. A few hangers on, but not too many.
In hindsight is always 2020. You see the two of them now, and it's like, oh, Deshaun Watson can't even get close to Tua. Not even a little bit. So, but that's always based on hindsight.
Think about it. Yeah, but I mean, it goes back to that thing. It's just things have to break your way. I mean, if I don't remember the dude's name now, but if he hadn't, took out Drew Bledsoe, does Tom Brady see the field? And we had to put up with
the infamous Mo Lewis.
Yeah, Mo Lewis. We had to put up with that crap for 20 years. So, what if that never happens? What if he slides or doesn't get hurt and we never see Tom Brady? Or maybe he goes somewhere else and does okay, but the situation just wasn't the same. It worked here for Tua, Mike McDaniel, Tyreek, the situation. I'll take all the bad with the good. We've seen so much bad, and I know the defense is struggling, and I think they'll turn it around because they're still learning the system, and we've got plenty of talent on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to get better there. We got Nick Needham coming back. We've got Jalen Ramsey coming back, so that's going to improve. But hey, we are only 40 points total away from meeting the 2017 season total. And we're in week 7.
That's
crazy. If they score 40 points this week, they will have scored as much as that same team. I sat there and endured all that crap as well as you guys did. And we had to put up with it. I went to a Monday night game in Carolina. I wasn't even going to go, but I got cheap tickets. And that's the only reason I went. And I don't get to see the Dolphins that often living in North Carolina. And I went and watched them got their tails beat just because it was my team. I put up with that. I deserve this. And the only thing that's bothering me about the 1-5 Patriots is the fact that they suck so bad that they may get a good draft pick and draft a quarterback. They need to win 6 more games so they'll draft a guard and stay in hell where they belong. That's just my take on that. So I'm off my.
That's the most fired up I've ever seen Duke in my life. We need to put it on Twitter.
When you're 5-1 and your offense is running like this and you're playing meaningful games in October, and there's hope and enthusiasm. Absolutely. I'm going to get fired up.
You might want to go check out want to hang out with Ray Finkel for a little while, Duke.
I'll tell you what, I know they have I've seen it on Twitter that, they've got the Dolphins, New York City, and I think they've got a Charlotte Fins fan club that meets somewhere down there. And I'd like to go down there at some point to the Charlotte. They post that stuff and go down there and do and I'm going to try. I'm talking myself into it. I'm going to try to come to the watch party at the Biscayne Bay Brewing. I'm going to try to.
Well, we'll see where we go from there.
I'm going to try. So
I want to go ahead and transition into this because we gotta talk about the Eagles game at some point. We're almost out of time, so I wanted to go ahead and briefly get this whole
50-3 Dolphins.
No,
we don't need to talk about that.
Ron, come on, man, come on. Listen, if we beat
the Duke has me so fired up, man. We're gonna win the Super Bowl, man.
If we win 50-3 to the Eagles, I will say that whatever happened in Buffalo is just because it was Buffalo and literally no other reason.
Exactly.
We'll beat everybody in the world, but if we end up facing Buffalo, then it's oh well, forget it. It's a coin toss.
How many Super Bowl rings does Tom Brady have?
Too many.
7.
Too many.
7?
Yep.
Oh, 2 has to get 8.
Oh gosh.
Boom. Duke. I heard Duke say somewhere in there. I know if you mix the words around it, Tua will win 8 Super Bowls.
It's coming. Just wait on it.
It'll be horribly chopped together. I'll get my brother to put it up. Tua will win 8 Super Bowls.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Make it happen.
Movie.
Little AI. We'll ask AI to do it.
All right. Let's go ahead and get this going. So Zero Hero and our scores, because I want to make sure we get this done. My poor lady, she ate dinner without me, man. She had no choice. I was waiting too long. It's sad. I'm going to make it up to her. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll do this real quick. Duke, give me your 0 and your hero for the Dolphins-Eagles game, and what's the score gonna be?
0. I'm going to go with Raekwon Davis. He's kind of struggling, I think, a little bit. And the Eagles are going to present a problem to that front, and I think he's kind of the weakest link on the defensive line right now. I'm not saying he's bad. I don't know. Him or one of the linebackers. Hero is going to be Jalen Waddle. I think he's going to have a big game. I think the Eagles are going to focus entirely on Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle is going to have like I said, 160 something and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be a big game. Final score, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think it's going to be a higher scoring affair than what we may think with these two teams. I'm going to say 33-30.
All right. Alf.
0. Let me see who's not gonna be too consequential in this game. I think the linebacker is gonna be pretty active. I guess the nickel, whoever's gonna play nickel for the Dolphins is not gonna be very involved in this game because
wasn't it Perry Nickerson against?
They played some of that. Kohu played a little bit outside, and then he played back inside. If they do have Xavier Howard for this game, which I do expect him to be ready for this game, and Kohu plays inside, Kohu's going to have a very uneventful game. And hero, I'm going to say Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa, I made this prediction earlier last year, and the way I figure it, since he only plays the Eagles every 4 years, he's going to have to do this about 3 more times. I predicted that Tua would never lose to an Alabama backup quarterback or either one of his backup quarterbacks for his entire career. He's undefeated against Mac Jones. He basically has to go 3-0 versus Jalen Hurts for the rest of his career. It starts with this one on Sunday. The score, I'll reserve it for my podcast on Thursday, but you can see where I'm leaning.
For sure. Ron, no, not 50-3 because I know that's not true. Well, let's hear it.
All right, my 0, Durham Smythe, man. The Hill train starts today. My hero. Let me think here. Man, that's tough. Oh, Braxton Berrios. I feel like he's been a little bit underutilized, and I feel like this might be a game where they just maybe plan him out a little because he has the speed, man. That guy's fast. And Dolphins win. Let's take a 31-28. Sanders kicks a 49 3/4 long field goal because we don't want him to try and kick 50.
First of all, Ron, I'm just going to go ahead and briefly dispute your Durham Smythe pick. Just because the fact that he does so much
showmanship.
Okay. So I was gonna say because like he does all this stuff in blocking, he can't ever be a 0 ever.
I know. I was thinking the same thing too as I'm saying it. I'm like, I'm gonna say Durham Smythe, but it makes like 0 sense because he blocks so good in the run game.
All right, my 0 for the Dolphins game is going to be. It's so hard now. I'm going to say Eli Apple. Yeah, the Aaron Andrews just hit me with it. Eli Apple. Like, the guy, I don't know why he keeps getting so much starting time. I'm getting kind of frustrated not getting to see any of Cam Smith, to be perfectly honest.
I explained on the last podcast why I like Eli Apple a lot.
All right, so for anybody who's wondering, you can go check out 3 yards per carry. And
I don't know if you listened on Monday, but if you didn't listen on Monday, I gave my reasoning why I really like Eli Apple. He commits somewhere around 30 to 32 pass interferences a game, and they can't call them all, so the officials just are left staring like, okay, I guess we can't call them all. And he changes the conditions of how they're going to cover people. I will say that because he's so grabby that he sets the tone early on.
That's funny.
So I kind of like him. I kind of like him for that reason alone. Now, if he starts getting called, then yeah.
That pretty much says you like him because he's so bad he's good.
Pretty much. I heard. It's like a B movie. It's like, oh my god, it's so terrible, but I can't stop watching it.
Exactly.
All right, So Eli Apple's my 0. My hero is going to go ahead and be. I need more Raheem Mostert in my life, man. Raheem Mostert basically. I feel like more like he doesn't get nearly enough credit for how he sets the tone for this offense. The Dolphins' running game, and he's the one who's carrying the rock most of the time. Him getting good yards per carry, him being solid 4 or 5 yards per carry, makes it so that the Eagles defense is not going to be able to actually hone in on Tua and be like turn them into one dimensional, because that's what ultimately screwed them against the Bills, I think, because now they had to start playing catch up. It suddenly became just pin your ears back and attack Tua. So that was my main concern.
I have a question for you guys. With the way this team is blocking and the way Raheem Mostert is playing, does he get close to or surpass the total touchdowns in a season record that I think it's LT has?
Yeah, that's 31, and right now Raheem Mostert is. Remember that record of 31 was set in a 16-game season, so now we have a 17-game season.
So
Mostert is on pace. He's on pace for 31.1 right now because he has 11 through 6 games. But remember that Achan's coming back, so some of those touchdowns are going to go.
Yeah, he's not going to. Mostert's not going to beat LaDainian Tomlinson.
I think 20
might be Ricky Williams.
I think he's beating Ricky Williams' record. I think what was it? 21. He had 18 rushing that season, or did he have 18 total that season? If somebody can look it up. But I think that record's absolutely going down. Like Mostert, I think Mostert's going to get to 20. It's just too many. He has too many already. So I think 20 happens. 31, man, I think we're pushing it. 31.
Ricky Williams had 16 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown in 2002.
So that is 17.
So Mostert has to get 18, and he's already at 11.
Yeah, Mostert's going to beat that rather easily. I think Mostert gets into the 20s.
Maybe Mostert and Achan beat him. If he doesn't get hurt, maybe they would both beat that.
Now, I'm going to give my pick. I don't think the Dolphins win.
Oh, dude, you totally ruined this whole box.
I know. I ruined the mood. I ruined the mood. I can't get away from the fact that the Eagles lost to the Jets. I cannot get away from the fact the Eagles lost to the Jets. The Eagles are going to be pissed off, and they're back in Philly. So I can't get away from the fact that the Eagles are going to try to.
Can I change your mind? Can I change your mind for a second?
Okay,
the Bills went to London, lost, and actually got their ass kicked by the Jaguars. Took a bunch of injuries, came back home really, 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 really angry, and damn near lost to the Giants.
But I think the Eagles are better than the Giants.
So no, you're thinking that the Eagles are better than the Bills.
We're the Bills in this. They're the Bills are the Eagles in this situation. Lewis is what he means.
Yeah. Okay. So it's entirely possible that they just.
I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I don't think that it happens. That's all. So
what do you think your score is?
My score, I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think it's gonna be something along the lines of like 41-35, and when all is said and done. But I think the Eagles ultimately come out on top at home.
No,
I didn't say
okay.
I liked it.
Hey, remember, I'm
listen,
the guy who was hated for picking the Chargers to win Week 1.
Listen, man. As much as I want to, I can't pick the Dolphins to win every game. I have to at least be honest about it.
Wait a minute. Lewis picked the Chargers to win.
No, Ron.
I did.
Chargers
in Week
Jesus
1.
Christ.
It was only you act like we beat them by 4 touchdowns, dude. We barely beat them.
I was shocked that they won by so little. Like, I expected a win going on months for that game.
The Chargers have a lot of talent,
not me.
And they came back with. I'm not going to replay Week 1. Just moving on.
All right. So, all right, everybody. That's going to be it for this show. Thank you all so much for listening. It was a fun time for myself, Ron Caniff, Alfredo Arteaga, Chris Early. Want to say thank you for joining us. Make sure you're going over to prizepicks.com. Use that promo code 5. That's FIVE. And they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up, which means you put in your 100 and they will give you 100 of their dollars for you to play with for free. All right, that's going to be it. Fins Nation will be on tomorrow at 5 a.m. 3 yards per carry, always going to be on Thursdays, right, Alf, is when it's coming out again?
Yeah, we go Monday and Thursday, and of course my Q&A live is every Wednesday. So
All right, perfect. And
we go 3 times a week.
And the extra yard will be coming out as well on 5 Reasons Sports Network YouTube. Tons of Dolphins content. Make sure you're tuned in. We will see you all next time for another episode of Pulse of Fins Nation.